What if we've been looking at our mistakes all wrong? Today, we're going to dive into a really profound idea about human error and the incredible potential for change that might just exist inside every single one of us.
So let's just start with a really big question, one that gets to the heart of how we see, well, everyone. Is anyone truly irredeemable? I mean, really, is there any mistake out there that's so big it's just permanent? Let's kind of keep that question in mind as we go.
Okay, so where is this whole idea coming from? Well, the perspective we're going to unpack today is from a text called the Daily Divine Digest, and it offers a really profound and honestly a pretty challenging take on a concept we all think we know, the idea of a sinner. And it kicks things off with this incredibly bold, no-holds-barred statement. The text just comes right out and says that the very act of condemning someone, of labeling them as permanently lost, is meaningless. Wow, that is a powerful place to start, right? And it immediately makes you wonder, why? Why is it meaningless? Well, the answer, according to this perspective, is that we're basically looking at the problem through the wrong end of the telescope. Our lens is just too narrow. Because this isn't about one single moment of judgment, or even one single lifetime. No, it's about a much, much longer journey. So the source lays out this kind of three-stage path of reformation. First, you have what it calls delinquency. That's the mistake, the wrongful act itself. Then comes the consequence, which the text describes as paying dearly. But, and this is the important part, the journey doesn't stop there. The final crucial stage is that the person eventually reforms himself. And get this, it's not a quick fix. This whole process is seen as something that can unfold over several lifetimes. And that's really the core idea here. When you zoom way, way out and look at life across this massive timescale of many rebirths, the label sinner just doesn't stick anymore. It's not a permanent identity. It's just a temporary phase in a soul's incredibly long journey of learning and growing.
But this reframing isn't just about, letting people off the hook. It's about seeing a much bigger purpose at play. The end goal here isn't damnation. Not at all. It's evolution.
And the text draws a really clear line in the sand here. It says that eternal punishment, this idea of being lost forever, that is simply not the plan of what it calls providence, the guiding intelligence of the universe. The actual plan, the grand design, is for every single soul to eventually reach enlightenment. So in this view, permanent failure, it's not even on the table. It's just not part of the system. And this is all wrapped up in what the source calls the process of evolution. Now here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little challenging. The text suggests that even making huge mistakes, it literally says experimenting with life in evil ways, is actually a part of learning. It's how a soul figures things out and eventually finds its way to the right path. I love this next part. The text uses such a powerful phrase to describe what a mistake really does. It doesn't stop the journey, it doesn't change the destination, it only delays his onward march. Think about that. The implication is that moving forward is the default setting. Progress is inevitable for everyone. The only question is how long it takes. Okay, so all of this builds up to what is, for me, the most powerful and unforgettable takeaway from this entire perspective. It's a statement that's just full of compassion and hope, and it's captured in two simple, perfectly balanced lines.
The first part is a reminder about humility. It reminds us that nobody we admire started out perfect. Every single person we might call a saint has a history. They had struggles, they made mistakes, they had a past.
And then comes the flip side, the part that's all about hope. By that exact same logic, no one is defined by their worst moments. Every single person, no matter what they've done, has potential. They have a path forward. They have a future that is still wide open. And putting it all together, we get this incredible quote, which is attributed to the poet and saint Tayumanavar. It's a perspective that just dissolves judgment and replaces it with empathy, right? It asks us to see that shared human journey in absolutely everyone, from the people we look up to the people we might be tempted to write off. So, to sum it all up, what's this new lens we're being offered? Well, first, it's the idea that just condemning people is meaningless. Second, that mistakes aren't dead ends. They're just part of a long evolutionary onward march. And finally, it's this deeply hopeful belief that every single one of us has a future filled with potential. And so that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If we really took this perspective to heart, really adopted it, how would that change things? How might it change the way you see your own past mistakes? And maybe even more importantly, how would it change the way you see other people,